Good morning. It's Seal Morning News coming to you live from Seal Radio Online in Pram in the Ningo Pram district of Greater Accra region, Wednesday, the 27th day of February 2019. And in the headlines, presidential staffer and others fingered in fishing mining deals. Now, Dawn Soup gets 15 Chinese illegal miners in Prestia Forest. And Samuel Nate George urges authorities to deal with land gas as a measure to end political vigilantism. Now, High Court to deliver judgment in soldiers' men's gold 2.5 million Ghana cedis suit tomorrow. And motorcyclist foils robbery attempt at 37. And elsewhere, Nigeria's opposition demands fresh polls in 4 states. Our broadcast is also live on YouTube and Facebook. Go to Facebook and like our page, Seal Radio Online, and we are there live streaming. You can also share and bring on your comment. Also, download our app on www.Seal Radio Online from the Google Play Store, and you are good to go. Let's now look into the details. Now, a presidential staffer and secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Mr. Charles Cromwell Bissue, has been fingered as the foremost turncoat against efforts by President Akufo-Addo to weed out illegal mining in the country. In the latest undercover work of ACE investigative journalist Anas Armiyaw Anas and his Tiger IPI group exposing corruption, which airs today on a number of TV stations, today's February 27, 2019, Bissue emerges as a facilitator for a company seeking to circumvent laid-down processes to be given clearance for its mining operations. He is captured in a secretly recorded video receiving wads of cash to facilitate the speedy clearance of a mining company in order that it can begin mining as soon as possible, and is heard in the video instructing his subordinates over the phone to fast-track the processing of the company's documents. Several others connected to the work of the IMCIM, otherwise known as the Presidential Committee on Environment and Natural Resources, are seen in the video playing facilitating roles at negotiated fees. There are security operatives, informants, and go-betweens who offered to provide the company with information on the movements of a security task force against illegal miners, and others who offered to provide armed guard for the company's concession actions that are in sharp contrast with the objectives of the very institutions they work with or purport to work for. The Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, comprising the Ministries of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Lands and Natural Resources, Local Government and Rural Development, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Regional Reorganization and Development, Water and Sanitation, Interior Defense and Information was commissioned in March 2017 by President Akufo-Addo to sanitize artisanal and small-scale mining in the country, as well as develop a roadmap towards lifting an indefinite ban on small-scale mining that lasted about 21 months. The committee is chaired by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. In addition, President Akufo-Addo also set up a joint security task force, Operation Vanguard, that rummage mining areas in the country to enforce the ban, seize or destroy mining equipment of those who flouted the ban, as well as arrested offenders for prosecution. The ban and subsequent setting up of the committee, which were widely endorsed nationwide, followed widespread devastation of farmlands and river bodies by small-scale and illegal mining activities. It was suggested at the time that if nothing was done to reverse the devastation, Ghana was soon going to have to import potable water, as the country's rivers risked imminent death. However, allegations have been raised in recent times of the suspected complicity of some government appointees in facilitating the clandestine operations of illegal mining firms, much against the national effort to clean up the space. Those allegations have, as expected, been met with vehement rebuttals, usually by those accused of complicity or their associates. But with the latest development as captured in part 1 of Anas's Galamsey fraud, it appears government has more on its hands to do to achieve that national objective. In a related development, the Inter-Ministerial Task Force on Illegal Mining has arrested 15 Chinese nationals in a dawn raid. The swoop yesterday was targeted at illegal miners degrading the Kutukrum forest close to Pristia in the western region. 11 excavators were seized on the site deep within the forest. At least 25,000 acres of forest have been destroyed by the activities of the illegal miners, according to the task force. Today's raid is the 10th of such operation on illegal miners pillaging of the country's forests in search of gold. Authorities estimate that a total of about 50,000 acres of forests have been destroyed at Diasusraha Forest, also in the western region, by illegal miners. Also, the huge destruction of the Apamprama Forest Reserve by Heritage Imperial Mining Limited, the illegal invasion of the Ankwasu Forest, are a few of the destruction the task force has identified. The leader of the task force, Eko Aisi, told Love News that some of the illegal miners hide under the guise of prospecting and acquire entry permits from the Forestry Commission, but later begin active full-scale mining on the blind side of the commission. He explained that most of the illegal mining activities are carried out under the watchful eyes of the forest guards. Documents from the Environmental Protection Agency reveal that the Forestry Commission has granted individuals and small-scale miners entry permits to mine in 47 forest reserves across the country as at the end of 2018. The list of forests that the Commission has granted entry permits include Kwamisa Forest, Krokosua Hill, and the Asenanyo Forest Reserves in Ofinsu, Jobisu, and Ninahin Nkawie, respectively, in the Ashanti region, leased to Almingo Mining Resource Limited, Bia Toya Forest at Jobusu in the western region, given to Anfield Company Limited. Odan River in Bekwai Ashanti, leased to Kings Pep Mining Company Limited. Apamprama Forest Reserve, Bekwai, leased to Heritage Imperial Company Limited until 2021. And some of these forests have already been destroyed. The Inter-Ministerial Task Force says some miners no longer go in for requisite licenses but are engaged in full-scale mining deep within the forest with just an entry permit from the Forest Commission. Now, the Member of Parliament for Ningo Prampram, Samuel Nalte George, has traced the root of vigilantism to activities of land gas and is therefore convinced that streamlining land acquisition in the country would solve incidents of political vigilantism. Ruthless militias with affiliation to the two main political parties in Ghana, NPP and NDC, under the pretense of vigilante groups, have visited mayhem, some deadly, on innocent citizens. Well-meaning Ghanaians have for years condemned their activities and at times without number called for their disbandment with no success. Just last week, President Nana Akufo-Addo had caused to order the NDC and MPP to voluntarily disband these vigilante groups, or he will initiate legislation on that matter. But when some judge yesterday appeared before the Emil Short Commission investigating violence that occurred at the January 31st by-election at Ayawa's West Wogon constituency, he didn't seem convinced merely disbanding them is the appropriate panacea. The MP told the commission the current form of vigilantism, which he described as a growing monster, can be curtailed if the police is given the free hand to operate. He admitted that the land situation in the country cannot fix within a matter of 2 years. When asked what could be done in the interim, he advised we need to, as a nation and politicians, take a stand that we will name and shame everyone who is involved in any of these activities. Persons who owe these militia groups occupy or have occupied prominent position in the country before, he revealed. And now, still at the Commission of Inquiry, and the Director of Operations at the National Security, Colonel Michael Opoku, yesterday took a hesitant decision to accept responsibility for the actions of the national security operatives involved in the violence at La Baoloshi during the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election. He said, as the operational commander of the National Security SWAT, he gave the tactical commander of the team, DSP Samuel Kojo Azugu, the discretion to act. Earlier, he had been hesitant in accepting full responsibility, arguing that DSP Azugu had the discretion to decide what to do, adding if he had even informed him about the ongoing situation, it would have been a different thing. Colonel Opoku also defended the wearing of masks by operatives, saying that the posting of pictures of some of the operatives who were involved in the Ayawaso West Wogon operations vindicated that position. He said the posters had images of persons he did not know, as well as members of the counter-terrorism unit of the Ghana Police Service in Kumasi and some of the operatives of national security. And now the Accra High Court has fixed Thursday, February 28, for a default judgment in the case in which 53 soldiers have sued Men's Gold Ghana Limited, a gold dealership company, for failing to pay back their total investment of 2.5 million Ghana cedis. The court, presided over by Mr. Justice Jerome Noble Nkrumah, is expected to rule after Men's Gold failed to make a defense in 2 separate hearings. Counsel for the soldiers, Mr. Owusu Santi, subsequently on February 20 filed a motion praying the court for a judgment in default. Now the plaintiffs, per the writ of summons issued on December 12, 2018, are praying the court to order a refund of their money ranging between 18,000 Ghana cedis and 244,000 Ghana cedis, which are their principal investments. They argue that even if the defendant claims that it cannot pay their interest, they are entitled to their principals. In their statement of claim, the soldiers described themselves as hardworking men and women of the Ghana Armed Forces and contended that they had invested their sweat and tears in the defendant company. The plaintiffs said they were worried that their hard-earned money from what they termed as sleepless treks and peacekeeping missions was what they had invested in Men's Gold. They also prayed the court to direct the defendant company to refund investment. And an intervention by a motorcyclist prevented 2 Nigerians from allegedly robbing an employee of the 37 military hospital of his 5,000 Ghana cedis. The accused Kinsley Osungwa and Ikena Mboyi, who were on a motorbike, allegedly attacked and snatched an envelope containing 5,000 Ghana cedis from the man. It was the case of prosecution that a man went to the Standard Chartered Bank branch of Opebia in Accra to cash out the amount when Osungwa and Mboyi allegedly attacked him and took the money. According to the prosecution, another motorcyclist who witnessed the attack chased the 2 men, blocked them, and raised the alarm, leading to their arrest. When Osungwa and Mboyi appeared before the court, they pleaded not guilty to conspiracy to commit robbery and robbery. The court, presided over by Mr. Boaji Tando, remanded the 2 to reappear on March 4, 2019. And now let's go to Parliament. And the minority leader, Mr. Haruna Idrisu, has expressed worry at the failure of the Electoral Commission (EC) to improve its obsolete data system and organize limited registration exercise. Speaking in Parliament last Wednesday, he said the EC might not be able to conduct the District Assembly elections in September 2019 due to the lack of preparation. Mr. Idrisu said the EC had all its budget releases for 2018 and 2019, and therefore it did not have any excuse for the inefficiency. He therefore cautioned that the minority in Parliament would instigate a vote of no confidence in the EC chairperson, Mrs. Jane Mensah, for the poor performance. Mr. Idrisu urged the EC to open the registration exercise for Ghanaians who attain 18 years to register across the country. Making his contribution, the majority leader, Mr. Osei Chairman Sabonsu, said if the EC was to improve its data system, it needed to acquire new equipment. He said, given that the presidential and parliamentary elections will be organized in 2020, the district assembly elections could not be extended to 2020. Mr. Chairman Sabonsu therefore urged the EC to be expeditious in its preparations towards the conduct of the district assembly elections. The 2 leaders made the contributions following a statement on the Representation of the People Amendment Act by the New Patriotic Party (NPP) Member of Parliament for Mfanchipim, Mr. Eko Hayford. Mr. Hayford wondered why there was no framework to operationalize the ROPA, which was enacted by Parliament as far as 2016. He said the failure to implement the ROPA had denied many Ghanaians in the diaspora their fundamental human rights to take part in the election process from their respective locations across the world. Mr. Hayford therefore called for a concerted effort to ensure the operationalization of ROPA and to further entrench the country's enviable position as a pace setter of democracy. And to the Dagbon, the 2 former regents of Dagbon have been elected to occupy the vacant skin gates of Mion and Savlego as paramount chiefs in the Dagbon state. This follows the offering of a kola nuts as a symbol of acceptance of the nomination of the 2 elderly sons of Yana Muhammad Abdullahi and Yana Yakubu Andani II, in line with the customs and traditions of Dagbon. It also formed part of the recommendations of the Asante-Hine-led Committee of Eminent Chiefs as contained in the Roadmap to Peace. The nominees, the former Bolinlana Muhammadu Abdullahi and the former Kampakuyana Abdullahi Yakubu Andani, were offered the kola nut by their grandfather Yana Abu Kari Mahama II last Sunday. The 2 royals will later avail themselves to be enskinned by the Yana in Yandi. There are 3 skin gates in the Dagbon, Namship, Mion, Savlego, and Karaga. At the moment, all 3 are vacant following the death of substantive chiefs for the Mion and Karagaskins. The former Yona Savlegu chief Abukar Mahama is the current occupant of the Yani skin. An occupant of any of the three skin gates has the potential to become a Yana in future. And now to some stories from the Nigeria's election before we go in for some sports. Nigeria's opposition party, the People's Democratic Party (PDP), is demanding fresh elections in 4 states after citing manipulations of results. PDP also wants the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to halt collation of results until data from the smart card reader accreditation at the polling units are made available to all the parties in the election. This was contained in a statement read by Deputy Director General of the opposition party's presidential campaign team, Barrister Tanimu Turaki, yesterday. He said the national chairman of PDP, Prince Uche Secondus, has already communicated the party's decision to the chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. According to Bar Turaki, evidence has been gathered by PDP that fingers from the smart card readers have been seriously tampered with and manipulated. Seriously tampered with and manipulated. They therefore want results from Yobe, Zamfara, Nasarawa, and Borno states to be expanded and fresh elections held. The PDP said in some areas, particularly Kogi, FCT, and Plateau states, about 79,000 of their votes were unlawfully cancelled by the elections management body. The PDP therefore calls on Nigerians to disregard the results until INEC provides the data from the smart card reader accreditation at the polling units conducts fresh election in Borno, Yobe, and Zamfara states, as well as restore their votes in Plateau, FCT, Kogi, and Nasarawa states. So far, results from 27 out of 36 states have been declared, and President Muhammad Buhari is leading by 3.8 million votes. It's now time to bring you some sports news updates, and Stephen is right here with me. Good morning.
Good morning,
And
brother.
welcome back to the news program once again for the sports updates. What is the latest? I learned Mourinho is still is he eyeing, or they are just linking him to Chelsea?
Is it with circumstances happening at Chelsea currently? So people are trying to link link other managers to Chelsea. So
Including Zidane, or
including
this is
Zidane,
Zidane's
Zidane is
Zidane's
also
cases.
included, as people to take over from Maurizio Sarri.
I wish Zidane or Mourinho, any of them could be better, but I prefer Mourinho to every coach.
At
who is to
Chelsea.
come. Yes, Chelsea.
Chelsea was
Mourinho was for
Chelsea.
Mourinho was born for Chelsea.
Sure.
Yeah, because he's Chelsea's most successful coach ever.
In the Chelsea
And
youth,
yes, from 2005. Yes.
When he brought on DJ Drogba, the likes of Michael Essien, and then
Lampard
transformed
And the
Chelsea.
other Lampard and the Balak and the
the
rest.
Chelsea,
Yes.
who Chelsea is today, so.
We will bounce back, inshallah. And I pray you don't sleep, Liverpool. In fact,
we don't sleep.
ah,
We don't sleep.
I was sad for your draw game last Sunday or so against United.
I was really
Okay,
sad. I was expecting that
making the competition quite easier for City to oppose.
You see, this is a competition, so the possibility of City also dropping out some point. One thing people don't know is, if you look at Manchester City against the big or the top six, the big teams
In
this
England,
season,
yes.
only Chelsea they have been able to score City
To score City, yes, yeah, in the first round.
in the first round.
Okay.
But City scored Arsenal both the first and the second leg.
Arsenal.
Against Liverpool, they
Ars-
drew at Anfield and then they won at Etihad. against Manchester United.
Manchester
The first leg
United.
they won. They will not play City United for the return encounter against Tottenham. They won that very game. It's only Chelsea who scored City in the first leg, and City beating them in the second.
That is among the six bigger clubs.
Yes,
okay,
the top
okay.
six.
Because
And
I'm
if you
sure
look
that
at the matches that City have lost this season, about 4 matches.
Four
let's
matches.
take that of Chelsea out. It's a certain Newcastle United unexpectedly.
unexpected.
They defeated Manchester City. Crystal Palace went all the way to Etihad
Sometimes.
to defeat Manchester City over there. The same applies to Leicester City, also defeating Manchester City. So if people are saying City have now finished playing the big teams,
No, they are not.
it's
Yes,
left with only
it's true.
United,
It's
I
true.
think Tottenham, so they will make it simple. They will be playing West Ham this evening, and there is
Okay, this evening.
this evening,
Okay.
and there is this likely shock
Mm,
which might happen this
to
evening.
yes, it's
Not
true.
that I'm a Liverpool fan, but I know when these London small clubs they meet
Manchester
they
City.
meet the likes
Yeah,
of
the kind of preparation,
big teams.
the kind of preparations they make into bigger clubs matches is different.
Different.
And as a Liverpool, you should pray for that. Don't say because you're a Liverpool, just pray. Because I'm telling you, this should be this might be your last chance. This
every year Liverpool
Okay.
fans, you always say this is our year, this is our, but this
Okay.
particular year, if Judging Club doesn't lift the trophy, I think the best thing for management and authority to do is just send Judging Club packing.
okay.
Then we go in
Then
for a winning mentality.
Mentality.
A
Coach.
coach.
Of,
A coach who has the mentality of winning
Trophies.
Ancelotti. They don't play fine football, but their aim is to win trophies.
exactly.
Jurgen Klopp has transformed Liverpool's team to a title contender. When he came, Liverpool were even struggling to qualify for Europa. But his first season, we were able to make it to the Europa. Second, also, and then the third season in the Champions League. So I think he's done a yeoman's job, but he needs to deliver the trophy.
Yes.
At least to be added to the legends.
Exactly. All right. Yeah, let's have the stories.
Good morning, my name is Steven Zuta, and it's time for sports update on
We're sorry for the sound problem we had. We're really sorry for that. Okay, so let's start. We're starting over again. We will go to some fixtures and results which happened yesterday in the English Premiership and then Coppa Italia yesterday. And yesterday in the English Premiership, the results, or let's start with the Coppa Italian rather, but we really apologize for the sound problem we had. You know, this machine issue, and sometimes you face problem technically. So let's take it. It's one of the technical problems. Thanks to Don Culture for alerting us, and then our lovers who via a call give us the hints that we're having some technical challenges over there. So we thank you so much. We thank you so much. Okay, let's start with the Coppa Italia, where yesterday some game happened. Lazio, they were at home and they were held to a goalless draw game over them by AC Milan in that particular game. And then in the Spanish Copa del Rey this evening, a game will be happening live where Real Madrid, they will be taking on their rival Barcelona in the Copa del Rey second leg. The first leg ended 1-1, both sides scoring a goal over there. So this evening they will be deciding who qualified to the grand finale, and tomorrow Valencia will be taking on Real Betis over there. And from there, let's move to the English Premiership, where yesterday some games happened live. Newcastle United, they beat 3 maximum points yesterday after defeating their counterpart over there. And also we have Everton going away to defeat Cardiff City by 3-0. Huddersfield Town defeating Wolves by a lone goal, and Leicester City, they defeated Brighton and Hove Albion by 2-1. And Newcastle United, as I said earlier, they defeated Burnley by 2-0. And in the League On, or the French Cup, yesterday we have Paris Saint-Germain defeating Dijon by 3-0. Angel Di Maria scoring brace, and then Thomas Meunier was also on target when he ran up everything for Paris Saint-Germain over there. This evening in the English Premiership, some matches will be happening live, and we've got the fixtures for where Liverpool, they will be taking on Watford at exactly 8 p.m. at Anfield, when that particular match will be taken off at 8 p.m. this evening. Manchester United, they will also be traveling all the way to Crystal Palace, where they take on Crystal Palace also at 8 p.m. We have Manchester City also at 8 p.m. they taking on West Ham United over them. And at 7:45 Southampton, they will be taking on Fulham, and Arsenal will be taking on AFC Bournemouth over them. And then in the Coppa Italia, Fiorentina, they will be taking on Atalanta in that particular encounter fixture over there. And then we move to the French Cup, where Rennes, they will be taking on Orleans, and Olympique Lyonnais, they will be taking on Lyon in that particular encounter, or that particular fixture which will be happening. We have the manager for Tottenham Hotspur, Mauricio Pochettino, said the performance by his team over the weekend when they took on Burnley, that they were defeated by 2-1 at the Turf Moor. He said this is going to take about 5 to 10 years for his side to win the Premiership title with the mentality that they use in playing that particular game. He said if you want to win a title, you need to focus very much on games like this. Okay, let's move to some local stories when I hand over to Issah Nabilah Salifu to round up with the news. Isaac Dogbe and Navarrete Emmanuel rematch has been confirmed. That particular game will be happening in May rather. I beg your pardon, to be happening in May now. They're waiting for a top ranking promotion to confirm the particular or the actual date in May where that bout will be happening. You all remember later last year, Emmanuel Navarrete defeated Ghanaian boxer Isaac Dogbe to claim the world title from him. A rematch has been scheduled, but I think Dogbe should have prepared himself, should have had some warm-up matches before going for a rematch. After losing to an opponent and then you go straight back for a rematch, it's always difficult to claim your title. So I think Dogbe should have had some. But speaking to Dogbe's dad, who happens to be his trainer, a senior Dogbe, said already Dogbe is in camp when they prepare very, very much towards the bout which will be happening somewhere in May. So now the date will be confirmed by top ranking promotion. And Mercy Kwekutego, formerly of Black Queens, who in the year 1999 was part of the team that represented Ghana in the Women's World Cup, has been appointed as the Black Princesses coach. He served as the interim coach for the Black Queens, and now she has been appointed as the Black Princesses coach. My name is Steven Zuta. This is where we round up with the sports update, but we really apologize for the break in transmission, the break in the voice. Is some technical hinges we had. Technicians are really working on it so that we rectify it. But thanks to Don Kocha, you always following the show. We thank you so much. Thank you so much. And then the one who called to alert us about the sound or the breaking sound. We thank you so much. I hand over to my colleague Issah Nabilah Salifu, who round up with the news. My name is Steve Zuta. Good morning, Christian Ama entry. A special good morning going out to you doing the listening and also watching on Facebook.
Bringing us the sports updates, and we still apologize, and we thank our listeners for staying with us and cooperating. Before we go, let's now go to find some stories on the international scene. And now Pakistan says it has shot down 2 Indian Air Force jets in a major escalation of the Kashmir conflict. An army spokesman said one plane had fallen inside Pakistani territory and a pilot had been arrested. There is no confirmation from India, which claimed to have shot down a Pakistan aircraft. Pakistan earlier said it had hit Indian targets, and a day after Indian jets struck militants in Pakistan. The race followed a militant attack in Kashmir which killed 40 Indian troops. The 14th February suicide attack on an Indian military convoy in the Pulwama area was the deadliest militant attack to have taken place during the 3-decade insurgency against Indian rule in Kashmir. Both India and Pakistan claim all of Muslim-majority Kashmir but control over parts of it. The two nuclear powers have fought 3 wars and a limited conflict since independence from Britain in 1947, and all but one were over Kashmir. Also on Wednesday, Pakistan's foreign ministry said Pakistani jets had launched airstrikes across the line of control dividing Pakistani and India-controlled Kashmir. Pakistan said it had taken strike at a non-military target, avoiding human loss and collateral damage. Now, India authorities said the Pakistan jets had been pushed back and one shot down. India has also reportedly announced restrictions on its airspace. The Vistara airline said flights in the region were being suspended. Pakistan had also stopped flights from at least 5 airports, including Islamabad and Lahore. Reports say the aerial attacks across the LOC are the first since a war between the two countries in 1971. Now, troops have also been shelling across the LOC. 4 Pakistani civilians were killed and 10 others were injured in cross-border shelling on Tuesday. On the Indian side, 5 soldiers were also injured in the firing. Officials told the BBC schools in at least 2 districts along the LOC, Rajouri and Poonch, have been closed. People living along the de facto border have been asked to leave their homes. Now, before we go, let's have a look at the headlines once again. And presidential staffer and others fingered in fishing mining deals. Don Suk gets 15 Chinese illegal miners in Prestea Forest. And some judge urges authorities to deal with land gas as a measure to end political vigilantism. Now, High Court to deliver judgment in soldiers' men's goal 2.5 million Ghana cedi suit tomorrow. And motorcyclist foils robbery attempt at 37. And Nigeria opposition demands fresh polls in 4 states. The news was presented by Issah Nabilah Salifu, with sports coming from Stephen Zuta. Keep listening and watching. We will be back soon.